I'm Kyle Critelli, and I will be playing Lieutenant Hank Daniels in this production of Bombs and Blooms. Hank is a sensitive soldier. He's not your typical masculine war hero. He's managed to make his way up through the ranks and made it to lieutenant, but he still has a yearning for home and is not always 100% in the war story, and when he's in the barracks, he's often writing to his wife Maria, and I'll tell a little bit about the process. I got asked by Ruth to participate in this stage reading, which is a nice process to get involved with because you're really on the ground floor and you get to experience these songs and these scenes like before anyone has. I don't know if Sophie wants to talk about that more.
Yeah, I think it's just really, I think it's really interesting being involved from the very get-go and the very origins of the story and the songs especially. Like when my very first rehearsal with Ruth was very much like, here is the bare bones of the songs that I have, but what do you think? Like what do you think the character would feel, and what is easiest for you vocally and emotionally, and where can we explore this musically in the best way possible. So it's a very kind of like joint effort driven by her. It's her idea and her creation, but very much a joint effort at every point, which is unusual. We don't normally run a theatrical process in that way, so it's very interesting to be involved from the very beginning, and I'm very grateful for that, actually, to be able to be on that, like step 1, step 2, all the way through to the staged reading. I think it makes it like that little bit more like poignant that we're here and it's underneath the plane that the story is about, and it just makes it that much more real, because I think you kind of separate yourself from history in a certain way, but then it's right in front of you and you can see it, and you're playing these characters that aren't just characters, they were real people at some point and some, fictitious world that we're creating them in, but at some point they were real people, and we're pulling from those stories that it does make it a little bit more real, and I hope that comes across in what we're creating too, that it is a very difficult and hard and emotional story that is being kind of transcribed through fiction, but it is real.
Sure. The part of Hank Daniels is actually based off of Ruth's husband's uncle, I believe, and when she first contacted me, she sent a whole bucket load of literature, which was really helpful because Hank is really only in one big scene and then a very small scene where he's writing home and singing about his brothers in arms who have perished. So it was pretty amazing to watch the journey, and she sent me 25 transcripts of his writing, and it was really interesting to read and have to try to get into the mindset of this man who's, drafted into this situation where he would much rather be at home with his loving wife and in a florist shop, which is not the typical war story and not the typical lieutenant war story, more so than, a private war story. Maybe, okay, he didn't really want to be there and he never did anything with it and he left as soon as he could. But this guy, is giving up his life every day just to try to fight for what he believes in and try to get back home as quickly as he can.
I think we're taking a very different kind of lens to a typical army military story, in the fact that it's more about the people at home and so I think from an educational standpoint, it's more like how did other people feel? We always learn about how it is to go, fly a plane and what these men were doing and the actual physical elements of it. But I think this is more about the emotion behind the people at home, which is kind of the flip side of what we normally see.